Welcome back to our Food and Fitness podcast. We're going to brush up a little bit or kind of talk a little bit about what Matt spoke to us last night. Now, he talked to us about physical literacy and injury prevention, and we learned quite a bit. But one of the things that I'm really interested in you guys is because we like to maintain an active lifestyle. Do you do anything in your current lives to prevent injuries? Jess, I'm going to start with you.
I have been really fortunate in that I haven't had, knock on wood, a severe injury due to any fitness related thing. Just in general, really, I've been very fortunate. But I do believe in yoga and stretching. So I try to make yoga part of my regular lifestyle. And I think that helps prepare my muscles. Or if I go to the gym one day and I do a lot of strenuous workout, then the next day I'll make sure that I do more of a flexibility yoga just to really stretch out. And I think just listening to your body and taking the rest days when you need to, instead of like, oh, I've pulled my hamstring, let's keep going at it. No, like just take a rest and listen to your body. So I think that might answer your question a little bit.
Can I ask you another one? Have you always done yoga? Because I'm wondering if that's actually aiding in your injury prevention.
No, I haven't. I actually first started doing yoga, I think I was 18. So it was kind of in the middle of my college years. And my friend took me and I thought, I was not into it at first. I was like, oh, fine, I'll go. Let's just to hang out with you. And I was like, this is just weird. But I loved it. And for me, yoga was one of those things where the first class I went to, I just felt so uncoordinated, but I did enjoy it and I stuck with it. I started maybe going once a month and now I'm up to at least once a week. And I think listening to my body, I'll know when I need to do a good yoga session because my back will get all tight and whatever, depending on what the other exercises are that I'm doing that week. But yeah, it definitely isn't something that I've done my entire life. But the last decade or so, it's definitely been a staple.
I love that you say listening to your body and then you defined it a little bit, like if I'm feeling tight someplace. Is that an opportunity for you to say, I got to do yoga, or do I have to do a rest day, or is it kind of both?
Kind of both. For me, yoga, like I know there's a lot of different types of yoga. For me, I like relaxation yoga and just yoga that's really going to help stretch things out instead of making it like an active fitness day. It's more of an off day, recovery day. And yes, there are some days, especially after the beginning of baseball season, where sometimes I'll do an even shorter yoga day because I really do need that rest day. So it is a little bit of both.
Interesting. Thanks for sharing.
I'd be interested to see what happens with because sometimes you've admitted that you sometimes have a sedentary work day. What your life would be without yoga if maybe that's just allowing you to move a little bit better and give you a little bit more freedom.
Yeah, that's what I've really noticed, especially closer to Friday. If I decide that yoga is going to be a Saturday day instead of a Tuesday or a Wednesday, I do feel it a lot more. Just sitting, sometimes I'll sit with my leg crossed under me, and that really doesn't do wonders for your spine or your alignment. So yeah, it's definitely something that I notice.
Interesting. Dave, how about you?
Yeah, so I actually suffered a pretty big knee injury at the end of high school. So now when we're hiking, if I'm just doing like a flatter area, I probably won't do anything beyond stretching. I'll do, stretching of the legs, the hips, keep those kind of as free as you can. But if I'm going to go into anything a little bit more intense with some hills or some rocks, I'll tape my knee with KT tape, because a lot of the times, even on a flat area, sometimes I'll be walking in a mall and it looks like I've tripped, but it's actually like my knee is kind of given out, and it just kind of I catch myself going. So when I'm going on a little bit of a harder trail, I'll tape it to prevent kind of that side to side injury prevention. But everything kind of goes back to my blood sugars as a type 1 diabetic, because blood sugars can affect you so much mentally and physically. So, if your blood sugars are high, you may not be moving as freely because your blood's a little bit thicker. You're not thinking clearly, you're frustrated because your blood sugars are high and you're like, oh, I should be doing better. Which I think is a whole separate issue of what is a good blood sugar. We could do 3 hours on that. But at the opposite side, if your blood sugar is low, then you can get into some clumsy situations, and you're not thinking clearly because you're kind of euphoric, slightly drunkish at the same time. So if you're trying to tackle a technical situation, it would be a safe thing. So I kind of always keep an eye on my blood sugars to make sure that those are in the best places that they can be for the situation that's coming ahead. So I play a trend rather than the number.
I love that. You've given a completely different perspective in, usually think about I stretch, I strengthen, but you're very cognizant of your sugars via your food and as an injury prevention from a bigger perspective, but, narrowing it down to, I just don't want to trip over the rocks. Right? Yeah. Like I want to avoid that clumsiness, because the blood sugar can impact, that injury you sustained from falling down the hill. So that's a great perspective. And do you find that the tape helps your knee? Is that why you tape it?
Yeah. So I did a little bit of research, and I looked at a couple different videos on different ways to tape. And I used to use like a knee brace, but I felt I may rely on it too much. And I didn't want my knee brace to do what muscles should be doing. So I've kind of tried to do some exercises to train that area, to grow it a little bit better. But when we're getting into some technical stuff, like if I'm going in, my knee will sometimes like cave in. So I've just found it's a good security, especially if you're going on a longer hike, you're going to be in the middle of nowhere. It's not something you can just kind of step off the sidewalk and into the streets for help.
We'll talk fitness.
You're in a situation.
And we'll do it together.
I found it's a little bit better. I feel great. I mean, if it pulls some hair out at the end of the day, it's a decent side effect. It's not too bad.
I also know, thanks to social media, that you have made trips to MEC buying shoes. Do you find that helps? Or is that just, I'm going to MEC to buy some shoes?
So actually it's weird. So I just bought a couple different brands of shoes this year. So I bought a pair of Nikes, they're called Wild Horses. They have a pretty open foot box, toe box when it comes to that. So I feel fine. But then I got a pair of Asics, and I find for my foot that the heel is a little wide. So I have kind of do them up a little bit tighter. And I had a New Balance pair years ago. And I found that in the mid, they were kind of a little bit weird. So I've come to be a little bit more foot friendly with the way that Nikes fit my feet. I know that does not work for everyone, and we're also not sponsored by Nike, though if you want to, totally hit us up. But it's an opportunity for me to try on different shoes, to know what fits best, and especially for a diabetic, foot care is very, very important. So I want to prevent blisters. I want to promote breathability, so I don't have moisture stuck in my feet, which can cause issues down the road as well.
I love it. So for me, I time, and I know I shouldn't say this, I find time gets in the way, or lack of time. So when I go for a run, I always stretch after the fact, except when I do group runs. I don't know why that is, but I always have these really long stretches, and that makes a difference for me. I used to do yoga, and I used to do lots of strength training, but I didn't really see the difference with strength training and the yoga. However, I jump in with both feet. So for me, probably more if I do, like if I toss it up a little bit. So I'll run Monday, Wednesday, Friday, strength train Tuesday, Thursday, yoga on Saturday, or something to that effect. I'm still playing with it a little bit, but I think for me, and this sounds kind of like you, Dave, is I have found that the supplement curcumin, I don't know, I wish I knew about this years ago. It has been amazing with regards to my current injuries and the management of it. The other thing I use to prevent injuries are my shoes, and my shoes are critical. So I have played with different types of shoes. And again, we're not sponsored by anybody, but if Hoka Ona Ona wants to sponsor us, we'll take the money.
Yeah, I'll try their shoes.
Pardon me?
I'll try their shoes.
They are the best shoes I have ever bought. And because I've got an Achilles problem, I have a bone spur, they are just so cozy on my feet and prevent that heavy impact. So for me, footwear is absolutely 100% critical to my injury prevention. And, you know, even we had a person speak about shoes a few episodes ago, and, you know, you've got to change your shoes frequently, and you've got to put the money into your shoes. 2-3 times a year I'm changing my shoes, and I don't even do the heavy mileage that a lot of people do. It's so important. So that's how I work to prevent injuries as well, particularly as you get older. As Matt alluded to, you know, he doesn't play elite soccer anymore because you have to be more aware of how your body is and listening to your body, and, you know, knowing when to take those days off and knowing when to go hard and when to just chill. So, yeah. So thanks for watching this week's episode. So until next time,
we'll talk food.
And we'll talk fitness.
And we'll do it together.